I'm so excited for this movie. Oh, the jacket is hot though. Oh my goodness. It's the big day. It's like, oh man, it is the big day. We've been looking forward to this for a very long time. The first day I started looking forward to this was the day that Henry Cavill released that letter saying, hey, there's a new Superman movie coming. Please support the new guy. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, this is exactly what I need. Oh my goodness. This is huge, and it's been a heck of a journey getting here. And I feel so fortunate that I got the Amazon Prime early showing so I can see the movie a few days early, and I can, embrace it, enjoy it, and have a grand old time watching it, and then share my thoughts with the rest of you guys. So here's what we're going to do with it. We're going to adapt the formula that I use for reviewing comic books towards this movie. First, we're going to look at the story. How does the story work? Is it appropriate for the characters? 2, how did the actors do it? Did the actors portray the story well? And do they push it onwards in a way that makes sense? Number 3, did the movie utilize the unique aspects of filmmaking well? And then I'll tell you the kind of person I think would really enjoy this movie. We're going to keep it clean. We're going to keep it simple. It's going to be great. I can't wait. Today is a good day. I'll see you after the movie. I need to apologize to all of you, and especially to my family and my friends and anyone who knows me personally, because I am going to be insufferable for the next, I don't know how long. You thought that I talked a lot about Superman before? I'm just going to have to keep doing it. I'm going to talk so much more about Superman and how great this movie is, and it's going to drive all of you crazy. Holy cow, that movie was, oh my gosh, that was so great. That was everything I needed it to be. Take this off because it is still very, very hot out there. All right, let's talk about Superman. Everything that I needed this movie to be, it was. I've been talking for the past, I don't know how long I've been talking about it, that I needed this movie to do certain things. I needed it to be really good. I needed it to be true to the characters, and I needed it to be fun and exciting, and it did all of that. It was so true to the characters. I'm really. Okay, let's pull it back down to earth. Deep breaths in. Hold. Deep breath out. All right, we already set the framework for how we're going to do this, so let's go ahead and continue that framework. Let's start with the story. I'll just give you guys a brief overview of the story. It's nothing that you want to get very quickly on, but if you are really concerned about getting anything about the story spoiled, go ahead and skip to this time, whatever this time is. I don't know, I'll figure it out in editing. So a lot of my hypothesis about the storyline was correct as far as an international incident. There was a big international incident where Superman stopped an invasion from an enemy country into a friendly one. Now, the United States had connections with the non-friendly country, but the friendly country, they just keep getting bowled over by them, and Superman just couldn't take it anymore. So before the events of the movie even, he flies over there and he stops the violence, he stops the invasion, just single-handedly blows up a few tanks, throws a few planes around, and it's great, or it sounds like it was great. We don't actually get to see that part. What we do see is a couple of days later, a villain called the Hammer of Borovia shows up and just starts mopping the floor with Superman. Basically, the sneak peek that we got, where he was at the fortress and he was healing up at the fortress, that's kind of the first few minutes of the movie. But it turns out the monster that he was fighting, the Hammer of Borovia, it's not a real person. It was like this entity that Lex Luthor was controlling, and Lex Luthor called it Ultraman. And basically, Superman's fighting Lex Luthor through this guy, and Lex has this whole team of people that are behind him, and they have his back, and they're punching in the codes, and they're doing all of that stuff as well. Now, Superman has been getting a lot of heat on social media and in the traditional media over his actions here, where he broke international lines, and they're like, this is going to cause international incidents, Superman, you can't do this. Why did you do this? And his answer is because people were going to die, and he was going to go in there and save them. It's his duty to go in and save them. But while Superman is fighting this thing, Lex Luthor is actually able to locate the Fortress of Solitude and break into it. When he breaks into the fortress, he steals a whole bunch of data that is the message from Superman's parents, and he releases it to the world. And while the first half of the message Superman has heard, and it's like, we're sending you to this planet, you're supposed to be an example, you're supposed to lead them, you're supposed to protect them, and he's held on to that very dearly. It's a very important message to him. What he wasn't able to hear was the second message, because it was damaged in the craft, but Lex was able to reconfigure it and fix it. And what he showed off to the world was this message of tyranny and of oppression, and that Superman is supposed to go in there and he's just supposed to completely own the world and turn it into New Krypton. Basically become like the new Adam to turn the Earth into a new Krypton. And it's enough to turn basically everyone against Superman. And so the conversation of the movie now is Superman wants to do the right thing. People don't trust him to be doing the right thing. His own heritage is kind of attacking him as well. And now he's just kind of a little bit aloof. He's not sure what he's supposed to do. All he knows is that he's trying to do the right thing, and for some reason people aren't appreciating it. It brings up some really important themes of what is human nature? How do you know you're doing the right thing? What moves you to be doing good to people? And it's so good. Everything just fits together so well, and it's exactly the kind of message that I need from a good Superman movie. All right, let's talk about the actors now. The actors are stupendous. They are so good. There's tiny little details in how the characters act that show you just how well they understand who their character is. There's like little ways that Clark interacts with the people at the Daily Planet. There's also like tiny things like Lois eats a lot of candy. She eats a lot of sugar. And that's like a character trait. Like it's one of her copes with dealing with anxiety and stress, and it's like, that's perfect. And I remember seeing an interview where she actually talked about that and said that that was her version of, you know, how like Margot Kidder as Lois Lane had a smoking problem to deal with her complicated feelings. This Lois has a sugar problem, and it's cute. And it's the kind of thing that proves that these characters have so much more depth, just these tiny little actions, these tiny little takes that make them work. And their performances, yeah, they portray the characters perfectly, exactly how they were supposed to be. The one who took the show, though, he was fantastic, and I was blown away by him, was the guy who was playing Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult. Lex Luthor in this is diabolical, and he is single focused on just destroying Superman. That's all that matters. But the way that he plays him is with so much interesting intelligence and nuance behind that one single focus that it's like, this Lex Luthor really had kind of a danger of turning into a mustache twirling one-note villain, but Michael Hoult, he prevented that. He turned this Lex Luthor into a really compelling and really interesting version of this character that I don't think he's been played better. I know I'm going to get a lot of Smallville fans who are, going to hop on me for that, but I think this is the best Lex Luthor. And you know what? Outside of animated projects, I think this is also the best Superman and Lois that we've had. Like, they just have such great chemistry on set together, and in their scenes they interact so well and so interestingly, and like in the moments where Lois Lane gets under Superman's skin or vice versa, you can feel it. It feels real. The performers just really made it work in a really, really smart and awesome way. Now, the cinematography. I said before that one of the big things I was noticing in the trailers was that the cinematography is really, really smart and really interesting. Something that I think has kind of hurt the art of cinema in general is that we've had so many popular movies that have just kind of become kind of cookie cutter in terms of how they use the camera or how they choose to move the camera within the space that it exists. Now, this movie, the way they use the camera work on the characters, particularly in big action shots where there's like intense action scenes, intense fight scenes, or flying is a really good example. It just works. They changed the lenses out to make it look like everything is moving faster, everything looks distorted, which kind of makes the action feel like it's more in your face, and it was just done really, really well. And then they slow everything down and they focus just right when they need the moments to get close and intimate and relaxed. And then the big thing that filmmakers like to show off with, they had a lot, and I mean a lot, of long one-take fight scenes in this movie. They just let the camera go and they move it around, and things are happening all the time, and it doesn't stop, and there is no cuts, and it feels really, really cool and organic, and they just mastered it. They mastered it just as much, if not better, than how I saw Daredevil, the Netflix series, and then the Disney Plus series, how they did it. Before I give you my recommendation, I also want to talk about like the one really, really big concern that I had with this movie, which was that it was going to be too James Gunn. There were some parts of it that were leading up to the movie that kind of made me scared we were going to see a lot of James Gunn's tropes put into this movie. We had a team of unknown characters that's what James Gunn works with. That's Creature Commandos, that's Suicide Squad, that's Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, characters that nobody knows. And then it was like, how many jokes are going to be in there? Are the jokes going to be in inappropriate spots to add way too much levity to really grounded and serious moments? And the soundtrack, is the soundtrack going to be really distracting? And I am very happy to say that for the most part, he was pretty good about reining in some of his tendencies, but there was still enough James Gunn in there to where you could tell it was him. They're called the Justice Gang. They're not the Justice League. The Justice Gang, they're definitely a part of the movie, but their presence isn't shoehorned in. You know, it's not like they were taking center stage. Their whole point was to kind of show how Superman was changing people's minds, because the Justice Gang had a very specific idea about what their job was and what they were supposed to be doing and what they should be allowed to do. And by the end of the movie, Superman is able to flip it. He's able to change their minds to be more self-thinking and less like a private security force. The jokes, there were a lot of jokes, but like very few times did I think that the jokes were inappropriate. For the most part, I was seeing them and I was like, you know what, that's actually kind of funny and it works here. There was this one moment I was really worried about where they were pulling a classic James Gunn, there's something crazy happening in the background while there's something real happening in front of us in the foreground. I was kind of worried about that, but then, you know what? They fixed it. You know, it was the performers, it was the actors who pulled me in, and like all of a sudden the joke in the background, it started off as a joke, but then transformed into something really beautiful and really ethereal. Actually, it was incredible. That one moment right there really sold the movie for me. And then the soundtrack. There weren't nearly as many songs as there would be in any of James Gunn's other projects, but there were a few, but they were all tastefully placed, and they weren't done in such a way that made me feel like I was watching another Guardians movie. It was definitely a Superman movie, and he used the orchestral musical score really, really effectively. And anytime that John Williams remix comes in, it's just like, whoa, so good. It's like a gut punch through the emotions. But there were a few needle drops, and they were appropriate. I didn't feel like they distracted from the movie at all. Something like placing a real song in a movie can be done really effectively because it helps make the world feel more real. And I think that's what it did. It really themed the characters well, and everybody got a really cool song out of it. Even Superman got a really fun song at the end of it that I had to immediately put onto my Superman playlist because it just made way too much sense, and I just fell in love with it. So who would I recommend this movie to? This is going to be really great family viewing. I could see all kinds of people bringing in their families and really everybody just getting a real kick out of it. The adults are going to love the nuance and the characterizations within the world. Everyone is going to appreciate just how Superman feels and works within this world, because he feels like the kind of person you want to be, which is exactly what he needs to be shown as. And the kids are going to love it because the action was kind of fun. There were like, okay, you know how like a movie like Goonies or Gremlins or a movie like that will have jokes that are like, hold on, how did you put that in a kid's movie? But it's like, okay, you know, it's just like raunchy enough to where the kids are going to be like, I'm seeing something bad, but it's really not bad. Yeah, they had a few of those. It was pretty fun. So the kids are going to love it. I know that's kind of a broad category, but this really is a great movie for pretty much anyone. It feels distinct enough from Marvel movies to stand on its own. It feels like it's building up to something, so those of us who like a cinematic universe, there you go. It's a classic good versus evil, brilliant movie that I'm so happy is finally here, and I think you're all going to really love. So that's my thoughts right now. Like I mentioned, I want to be insufferable talking about Superman for the next little while, so you're bound to hear more of it from me on this channel, so go ahead and subscribe if you want to see that. And, you know, tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you're thinking about the movie in the comments below. If you're watching this after the movie's release, go ahead and tell me what you thought of it. And until next time, thank you for joining me. Have a great day, and remember to always be your best self.